Hey guys, what is up? This is Mr. A. Crizzy here, and welcome back to another movie review. In today's movie review, I'm going to be reviewing the 2002 movie released by Universal Pictures, and I actually just watched this movie earlier back in January, and it's also on a movie that some people remember watching from their childhood, and and it kind of does give you those like Nickelodeon movie vibes, even though this is actually a Universal movie. And and the movie stars Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes. And yeah, this review is on Big Fat Liar. Big Fat Liar is directed by Sean Levi, and so in this movie, so I'm gonna read it on the back of the DVD here. Get ready for big fat laughs featuring Hollywood's hottest teen stars, like at the time, like Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes. Big Fat Liar is the hilarious revenge comedy filled with nonstop action and laugh out loud fun. Excuse me. And in this movie, we follow a 14-year-old Jason Shepard who has a reputation for stretching the truth. So when big-time Hollywood producer Marty Wolf, played by Paul Giamatti, like steals his class paper and turns it into a smash hit movie, Big Fat Liar, like no one believes Jason's latest tall tale. On a cross-country adventure to set the record straight, Jason and Kaylee devise a high-tech plan to squeeze the truth out of Wolf through a series of outrageous pranks, crazy stunts, and big laughs. It's payback big time. Yep. Yeah, and of course, the back of the DVD here says that Ebert and Roper, like Richard Roper and Roger Ebert, they gave this film 2 thumbs ups. And yeah, so I got this DVD long ago, back in like earlier when this decade began, around like 2022 and 2021 when I first got this DVD. And I actually watched the whole movie like for the first time, actually, because back then I've only seen clips from this movie a long time ago, all the way before I watched the whole thing, like back in January. And I'm gonna have to say, this movie is still pretty good in my opinion. I actually kind of liked it for the most part, being like an old kids movie, like released in 2002, like the early 2000s. And yeah, and this movie is also pretty nostalgic to some people who remember watching it. And I myself am actually technically like a first time watcher for like when I watched the whole movie. I mean, like I said, I've only seen clips from this movie back then, way before I watched the whole thing. But I'm gonna have to be honest, guys. I think Big Fat Liar is still like it's still a pretty good movie in my opinion. I think it's pretty good for the most part for being like a family film released in the early 2000s, like 2002 from Universal Pictures. And yeah, and the movie does have some pretty funny humor here and there, especially like between especially like when Jason and Kaylee they turn Marty, like they turn his skin blue. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Like, because this movie does have some pretty funny scenes here and there, and it's basically how some plot points that are meant to be funny in some ways, like kind of like I said when Marty gets turned blue in the film, and yeah. And I gotta say, Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes, I gotta say, they both did a pretty decent job together in this film. Even though I think by today's standards, it's pretty hard to watch something Amanda Bynes was in because if you know that long dark story between her and Dan Schneider, you would not believe what a sad story that was. Yeah, because there's some of you guys out there who grew up with Amanda Bynes, like Amanda Bynes might have been some of you that have a crush on when you were kids, like maybe like some childhood crushes on Amanda Bynes. Like some of you guys may have that, but I think by today's standards, it's kind of hard to watch something Amanda Bynes related that she was in, because if you knew the story behind her and Dan Schneider together, yeah, it's just so sad that Dan Schneider treated Amanda Bynes like crap, and yeah. And yeah, speaking of Dan Schneider, he actually wrote this movie, and boy, the screenplay aged like mayonnaise. Ugh. But yeah, and some of you may be wondering why like, and yes, I have seen the documentary miniseries Quiet on Set, and am I gonna review it someday? Well, I don't really think so, because I mean the documentary miniseries Quiet on Set does have a point on what Dan Schneider really did, including some of the darkest stories behind Nickelodeon. But but to be honest, guys, I honestly have no plans on reviewing it. So, plus I kind of don't really want to review it because I didn't want to have any like divisive arguments in the comments. But whatever, moving on. But I gotta say, at the time, I think Amanda Bynes actually did like her performance here was good, and I think Frankie Muniz actually does a good job playing Jason in this film too. Like it's kind of interesting how Frankie Muniz was on Malcolm in the Middle, and of course he was in Agent Cody Banks, which was a good movie. Oh yeah, and of course Frankie Muniz also used to be an actor, and now he actually works as a race car driver for NASCAR, which is cool. Yeah. And I gotta say, Paul Giamatti actually does a real great job playing Marty Wolf in the film, who's like the villain of this film. And and Sean Levi does a pretty decent job directing this film. And Christopher Beck actually did the music as well, which is like nice. And I actually did like how this movie took place at Universal Studios in California. And it's like and I did like all the references and all the prop sets behind other Universal films. And that's what makes this movie like a Universal movie, even though it kind of sometimes it does feel like a Nickelodeon movie, but it's actually from Universal Pictures. Even though like I said, one of my flaws I did have with the film is the screenplay, because the screenplay aged like mayonnaise, because I just said it. And of course, and the story and one of the story people was actually Brian Robbins. Yeah, Brian Robbins, like the CEO of Paramount. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to talk about my honest thoughts on Big Fat Liar. And I'm going to say it's a pretty good movie for the most part. I still there were some things I liked about the film. It does have a nice soundtrack as well, some good songs, and yeah. Oh yeah, and I also got to say, since a lot of you guys have seen the movie, like there was even even that last part in the climax to this movie, where Marty Wolf confesses that he stole Jason Shepard's story paper, like when he confesses to the whole studio that he stole it, and then of course everyone reveals that they've been recording his confession the whole time. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of one of those like twist villain cliches, like when like like whenever like a random likable character becomes evil in the end, and their confessions were caught on recording and camera. Like that's what it kind of reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of animated films like Monsters Inc., Zootopia, and Coco, because when a random character was ultimately revealed as the villain of the movie, their confessions were caught on recording and tape. Yeah, because Waternoose' confession was caught on camera along with Ernesto de la Cruz and Coco. But in Zootopia, Bellwether's confession was actually recorded on a carrot pen. Yeah. And I think Marty Wolf's confession was kind of almost like one of those twist villain cliches where a villain gets caught in the act of confessing that what he was gonna do and all that, but or they whatever. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Those like twist villains and how their confessions were caught on recording. Like in, yeah, Coco's, Zootopia, and Monsters Inc. Yeah, you guys get it. And yeah, the movie's rated PG for some language, but it's honestly more like a family film in some ways. And the movie's not even that long either. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. Oh yeah, and I remember when I was doing research on VHS openings to this movie, because I think American prints of this movie use the standard Universal Pictures logo, but I think on Canadian VHS prints, but I think yeah, because I remember looking up on YouTube a long time ago, Canadian VHS prints of this movie actually used the ET 20th anniversary variant in the Universal logo, like how the Universal letters like fade out and we get to ET and Elliot like flying through the globe, just like in the moon in the movie. Yeah, but that logo variant that was only seen on Canadian VHS prints of Big Fat Liar, because on American prints it just uses the standard Universal logo. Yeah, with Jerry Goldsmith's fanfare. But oh yeah, and of course this movie also had a sequel too that came out in 2017, and I really have no plans to watch that because I gotta say you can't really stick with the classics like this, so like the original film like this. Nothing can top this movie. So overall, Big Fat Liar is a pretty good movie in my opinion. and I'm going to give Big Fat Liar 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a good movie, and there you have it. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for my movie review on Big Fat Liar. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys liked it, and if you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And also make sure to like this video as well. With that being said, until next time, this is Mr. A. Crizzy saying goodbye everybody, and that's about it.